Dan gave me the great pleasure to introduce Heart Research UK, and I'd just like to say a couple of words actually before you come up, Barbara. It's quite an interesting experience, I think, when we decided as a family to do some fundraising for aortic dissection. It was really clear to us that we wanted to make sure any funds that we raised went directly into aortic dissection, especially given the challenge that my husband was prepared to take on. He ran 10 marathons, ultra marathons last year. The kids got involved. We became a family of runners, which you can see by my figure right, doesn't it? My training stopped at about 15 miles into London Marathon. But I think what was really clear that to us in our search is that Heart Research UK were able to demonstrate a very clear and visible link into where they were pouring their funds and where their efforts were going. So Keith, I think, stumbled across the lovely Rachel, and I've got to say a very strong personal relationship I think has been formed over the last couple of years, and we're very grateful for all of the work that you do, and clearly in partnership with Liverpool Heart and Chest Hospital as well. The masterclass that you do is fantastic, and it's really, I think, prompted a springboard for our action group. I think a meeting that we had before last year's, was it just last year, the masterclass? I met Graham and we had a couple of discussions, and I really kind of felt like everything's possible, and it's great to hear the echo from everyone today, the power of the patient voice, because I think with charity, hospital supports, the passion of all the individuals here, we can really get things moving, and Heart Research UK has been a catalyst, so it's with pleasure to invite you up to share your story.
I think mine's going to be the shortest little presentation or speech today. Heart Research UK, you've thanked us a lot today, you've mentioned us a lot today, but really I've got to thank you for letting us in, really. Because, as you can gather, you see there, we are a charity that's been around for 50 years, and we have funded medical research for those 50 years. And the research has been aimed at making surgery safer. That was why our founder started us. And so we didn't really mix with patients, to be honest with you. It's researchers that we mix with. And I have to say that our first experience with patients has been a pleasure, an absolute pleasure, because you needed, I think, and I hope this is the right thing to say, you needed just someone who would back you, say, yes, you're doing the right thing, encourage you, and give you practical help. And that's what we tried to do. Because another aim for us is that we try to be practical as much as possible. And so, as I say, our experience has been a pleasure, and aortic dissection is right up our street, to be honest with you. Because that is it's one of the hardest surgeries, and if we're there to make surgery safer, we may as well start at the top then, haven't we, and do that. So that's that. So that's why we have got such an interest in aortic dissection. And as well, we've learnt a lot from you, because as I say, you're our first experience really with patients, and you've taught us how what we can do by just being focused on one particular thing that may be a bit not high as incidence as everything else, but focusing in so that we can actually help you do what you wanted to do. So one of the first things we ever did, and I have to say thank you to Vasjitech here as well, is that we did a masterclass. And that was only through actually finding out what was missing somewhere. And we saw that there wasn't a masterclass in aortic dissection in the way that we do it. I won't say how we do it, but in the way that it is done. And so, we went hunting around, found Debbie, and we had a long conversation with Debbie, didn't we? And said, right, let's do a masterclass. And that came out of it. And then came out of that came the fellowship. So, as I said, we have tried to be as practical help to you as we can do. And it won't end there. Because you're on a roll, you lot, to be honest with you. And I'm so proud of you, really. And the role that you're on is that you've got the people involved now that you need to get involved in to use your voice. They can use your voice and you can use your own. So the only thing we can do is be a bit more practical, and we've just been talking today, haven't we? And I think, and I've said this, Debbie and I have spoken as well, every A&E should have a poster that says, think aortic dissection. And as I said today, we're quite willing, with everybody else, with Debbie and people, we're quite willing to make that happen. So we will, get it done for you. Give it to the people who need it to be given to, and because we have connections all over the UK with surgeons, we'll actually say to them, please will you see if you can put this hip in a local A&E for us. So that's the most practical thing that I can pledge for you today, and I hope that will help. The other thing that you just mentioned was that our charity tries, when it raises money, to spend it where you want it spending. Now it could be geographical, so I don't know, if somebody in Broad Green raises some money, we'll spend it here. But the other thing is, we want to spend it where you as a group, because you're sort of nationwide, where you want it spending, which is on obviously aortic dissection. So Helen is going to follow me in a minute, and Helen is the head of our research department, so grant giving department. So she will tell you what we're doing and how we go about it. But I suppose I'm finally saying it's been a pleasure being to all the things that you've invited me to and I've done. But just remember, we're here for your back, and we'll do it. Thank you.